I haven't posted in like 5 years. So where have I been? The short answer is school, but I've also been posting content on another channel. I make Roblox videos. Anyway, this is a video going over behind the scenes stuff over making the thumbnail for the most recent upload, because I did not just spend 6 hours on this thing just for it to get forgotten in like a week. Also, sorry for the overall low effort on this video, by the way. I really don't expect this to get more than like 20 views. So as for the programs and stuff I used Ibis Paint X to make all of my thumbnails. It's a free drawing app that I've used for years, and at this point I'm too lazy to try and learn something a little bit more professional. As for devices and stuff, I draw on my phone with my fingers. Yes, I'm one of those type of artists. Fear me. So, like, the idea for the thumbnail came to me at like 3 AM 2 days before the actual video went up, and as you can see, I stuck to it. Here you can see that I tried to experiment with a different composition, but I really hated it, so it got scrapped. Anyway, here's the sketch. If you're coming from Airloft, and you probably saw this in a community post I made a few days ago. By the way, the whole line through this guy is a line of action. It took reference photos for each fighters, and when I did it with Shuriken, I was like, yeah, this sucks. I'm just gonna draw my own. Also, you're gonna notice that it was originally 8 people like the video title says, but when I was taking reference photos, I completely forgot the existence of Rocket. So, yeah, sorry, it's only 7 people, but pretend there's 8. Speaking of reference photos, you're gonna see them all flash on the speed paint right here. And here they all are in all of their glory. Yes, the resolution is awful, and I realized that after tracing over them. Shout out to the Fighting Wiki though for having actual reference photos for me to work off of. Anyway, yeah, I did trace the poses for all of the fighters on the left. I know tracing isn't like super duper appreciated, but hey look, when I did it at the time I thought, oh, this is just gonna be a low quality thumbnail, no one's gonna care. And then I proceeded to put more effort and soul into the stupid thing than I probably should have. But yeah, I'm mostly tracing so that way I can get a general idea of what everything would look like. And I actually stopped doing that and work off of real references later. So lining stuff, yay! The scribbles on the side are brush sizes to help me remember, but I don't follow it, so yeah, you can ignore it. For Hyperlaser's gun, I'm gonna be so for real. I was just kind of making stuff up. But hey, it's close enough, right? For Fine Stuff, I experimented with having faces and expressions and stuff, but I felt like that was a little too cluttered, and I preferred the cleaner look of having everyone faceless. So yeah, I also decided to add vine stabs and weapon to help with silhouettes and stuff. Yes, more tracing, I apologize, but this thumbnail is not supposed to be some sort of masterpiece by like Leonardo da Vinci or something. I'm sorry. You'll see some blue occasionally. That's me trying to give everyone a white outline so it's easier to differentiate between each fighter, because let's face it, it's getting a little bit busy and hard to tell what's what. No real notes about Sword, except I struggled with his glove a bit. Since there's still some time, I'll touch on Katana a little. The only thing I have to say here is that his horns are confusing. Okay, next. Sight's hat is weird because my low quality reference photo showed just literally this blob, but I think it turned out okay for what it's worth. By the way, I really love her design, so it was really fun drawing her. Fan Hammer, the only one whose reference photo is actually of decent quality. Shame he's all the way in the back though, so I really didn't need the reference outside of some of the actual details. So here I start redrawing Shuriken's pose. The thumbnail is based on the 1v6 sequence in the video. Fun fact, that was also the section of the video where I had to turn the volume way down low. Yeah, I kind of scream a lot. But hey, I was fearing for my life, okay? I draw Shuri's arm tattoo things here, but you're gonna see that they disappear in a little bit. I don't know what happened to them either. It was on a separate layer so I could recolor them at a later date, but I probably accidentally deleted them at some point. I do remember and go back and redraw them though. The grapple rope, the only notes on that is that I drew it with pure compositional value. It was really easy to draw. I just draw a curvy line and give it an outline using one of the tools in Ibis Paint. Yeah, really easy. I flipped the canvas here because I know this shuriken looked a little bit lopsided, so I go and fix that. The red background is filler. I do this to check on composition and silhouettes and stuff. I don't know how to explain, but it makes sense to me in my head. Anyway, now we have the real background and the fighting logo, you know, to tell everyone that this video is in fact about fighting. I started adding flats to all the characters here. Initially, I color picked off of the renders, but then I realized that the lighting is inconsistent across all of them, so I ended up just using it as a base point to start off of, and then eyeball any color adjustments based on the actual reference photos provided in the fighting wiki. We are going to ignore the atrocious colors for Shuriken. I promise it gets fixed. Anyway, yeah, rinse and repeat for all of the fighters. I used the color fill lasso tool to help me speed up the process of coloring everything. I do forget to add the light dot thing on Scythe's weapon, but I'll remember to do that and come back to it later. So for the lighting and stuff, I just based it off of the lighting in the background, so yellow sunlight. Yay, fun. I use the lasso fill tool again to block in the lighting, but then I get lazy, so I mostly leave it as it is, except for any places that like really bother me. I take the time to really define the dimensions of the fighters' arms and stuff, and I think it's a neat touch. Shadows is more or less the same story, just defining stuff a bit better. Added some glowy stuff because it's not an Aurion thumbnail if it doesn't have that glowy airbrush feel to it. And the rest of the speed paint is me trying to define each of the fighters better by adding shadows towards the bottom. Also, I do some background adjustments so the drawing actually stands out more. But yeah, that's it. In total, this took me about 6.5 hours to make, which is probably way too long for a single thumbnail, but I really liked how it turned out and I hope you guys like it too. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll probably not post on this channel again for a while. Not to say that I've abandoned it, I've just been a bit busy and all the art related ideas I have take a lot of time to make and I'm just really demotivated. But if we like seeing the behind the scenes stuff like this, I might do it again for past and future thumbnails too. Anyway, yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.